NGRX, it's completely standalone. So you probably, when you hear NGRX, you think of NGRX store, right? So component store is the second state management library that is not dependent on the main one, the global store. It's literally one file with 392 lines of code as of today, I checked. And it's very much an awesome library. I'm going to show you how to use it today. But for those who've been, staying away from state management libraries and NGRX in general, think it could be complicated. I've heard those complicated or too much code and things like that. And especially for those who prefer to roll their own, hey, I want my service with behavior subject or with a subject kind of approach, something that Lara was talking about on Monday. She showed you actually the examples of that. The component store could be a great alternative to move over. It will be very easy to port into this. And this is, again, tiny library, very powerful, very performant, and very well tested. So you don't have to maintain your own kind of thing. All right, so that's that. Component store, been around for 2 years now. And in fact, as of mid of September, it became the second most popular state management library in Angular, which is quite a big thing. It's second because it's less popular than the global store. Nothing touches global store. 1 in 6 Angular applications are using the global store. And again, there's a lot of the numbers, but roughly half of the enterprises are using that. And you might notice, well, it was growing pretty good. Well, what the hell happened there? What the hell? Did you write the script to make sure it's very popular and just download it? Yeah? No, that actually NGConf happened. And there was a lot of conversation. There was 3 talks about NGRX component store there. So as you see, people got very excited and started adopting it immediately. All right, but again, second by all this stuff, I'm not saying that, hey, you should be switching from any state management library that you're already using. I'm not saying that, don't take it this way. For me, as long as you're using some kind of state management library, or you're even thinking about state, you putting it aside, you think how state flows in your app, that's already a huge win for your app and for your developers working on the app. So again, if you are using it already, any state management library, thank you. And again, your app thanks you, your developers thank you for doing this. State is a very important thing. Okay, so component store. Just like any state management library, it needs to do 3 things very well. It keeps the state, right? It keeps help you manage that state. So it needs to be able to read the data, and we have select method for that. It needs to be able to write the data, and we have the update for that. And it also needs to be able to handle side effects in your application. And that's what we have effect for it. Let me show you the basic APIs, because again, some of you have never heard of it before. So to use at least idea how you'd structure component store in general. So the first thing we'll do is we'll introduce the interface that this component store will be responsible for. Unlike the global store, which is a single source of truth, single object, one large shared state, component store could have many, many component stores, but still each one should be responsible for its own particular slice of state. So it should be very much aware of what it's controlling. Derived logic is done through selectors. Derived logic has no place in the store. I mean, there's some use cases for that, but in general, it should be a single source of truth, right? That's what you want for your app. That's why we do state management. So this would be the state handling the car items, for example, car items array. Next, we'll create the injectable class, injectable service, that will extend component store. And you'll see in a generic, in a component store, we'll specify that interface that we just defined, right? So that's what this store would be responsible for. In a constructor, then, we can initialize the state.